What's up, everybody? I'm Scott,
I'm Jason.
and you're listening to a quarantine episode of Liquid Carnage. What are we, like,
Sign up
week
time.
47 of this?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my God.
I'm starting my 6th week of self-isolation, and it's tough, man. It's a challenge.
I need a haircut so bad. Walter needs a haircut so bad. I want to go sit at a bar. I want to go to a gym. I don't care about shopping or other shit. I want to get back to some semblance of a normal life.
Well, as some people know, I was up in Las Vegas for a couple weeks, so Noreen was in Phoenix by herself, and I was up in Vegas taking care of some stuff with my mom, and she did make the comment when I got home. She goes, "Yeah, I can definitely feel what the single people must be going through because it was tough. It was tough."
Oh, dude, it's on bullshit mountain on planet fuck. This is what it is. It's
well, and you got to remember, I mean, Noreen's not quite the social butterfly that you are, so she was struggling, and she's okay with staying home and just kind of staying around the house. She goes, it was hard for her, and you're a social butterfly.
Oh yeah. It's funny. The other week, a friend of mine who owns her own business. She's doing some remodeling. She said, "Come over and just sit in here and have a beer while I gut things because I can't sit at home anymore, and I'm pretty sure you can't either." I was like, "Yeah, that's fine." So I went there. I sat there and drank a bottle of wine and watched her gut her office, just for something to do, just to get out of the house.
Yeah,
and that's what it's down to. It's like I'm so friggin' bored, and I'm so like at wit's end. I'm out of things I want to do. There are things I need to do, but I'll be honest, I don't really want to spend the money right now. And by the time I get ramped up on those things, life will be back to somewhat normal. So there's a balance,
Well, I had heard a rumor through the COVID grapevine that you were going to start learning the guitar. So I'm assuming that you're like James Taylor now.
A little bit. I was more like Eddie Van Halen.
Oh, good. Yeah, good. Okay, there you
go. I tried to go for a hybrid between James Taylor and John Mayer. But I figured, you know what? It's time to bring back the 80s throwback, like metal axe guitar riffs.
Yeah.
For some reason, my Alexa plays a lot of Van Halen on my music list. So it's hard not to get like those riffs from Panama or Jump out of your head.
Well, one of the things that we talked about a little bit when we were talking about this show is I was kind of fascinated with all of the news stories that are going out there about how the dating environment has obviously changed drastically and what that's going to look like coming out of this as well. So I thought I'd love to give your perspective on it because obviously you are one of the people that's in a realm where you might be dating, or yes. You might have gotten to do dates, over the course of the last 5 weeks or whatever.
Yeah. This is not an ideal situation for dating. If you're in a weird spot, just full disclosure, it's hard to explain this, but there was someone in my life that she's trying to figure things out and is trying to be supportive. And then this whole thing happened and I really haven't seen her for the last 5 weeks. And I've been a voice over the text. That's about it. And that's a very frustrating position to be in when you're trying to work through some stuff,
Oh, yeah. Well, and I mean, so Noreen and I are in a relationship and we were, trying to do voice, talking on the phone and doing the Zoom or whatever application you want to use for that. And even in a relationship, it's a challenge because you're dealing with the distance, and you're not able to connect physically, like touch or see someone face to face. So even couples are, that are apart from each other are dealing with these kind of these real issues that are going on.
Yeah, and it's an eye-opening situation for a lot of people because you have to be creative.
Yeah.
The physical is enough to get you through. You have to show that you got some more depth to you,
Well, let me ask this, because that was one of the things that I thought about is in today's world prior to the COVID-19, right? Tinder, all these apps that are out there, so much of it is purely visual, right? see someone like them, swipe right or swipe left,
Yeah.
right? You go on a date, you want to see what they look like, gussied up, dressed in their nicest clothes, or cleaned up as much as they can be cleaned up. You go on your date, you're in a social gathering where you're trying to put your best foot forward, and ultimately on some, especially like Tinder, I mean, let's be honest, the goal is a physical contact.
Yeah. I think when you start factoring like dating apps for this, I don't know how that's working right now. I have to assume that clearly you're gonna do the basic texting and whatever else, but it goes back to what you and Noreen were doing. You're using an app, whether it be FaceTime or Zoom or Skype or what have you, to have those first meetings, and you're basically going to be delayed. I don't know how long at this point from seeing each other, or if you decide you want to, COVID be damned, risk it for that biscuit. I mean, I guess you go ahead and meet the person, but to each their own.
Well, let's just say that I kind of, obviously I did a little bit of research, but they're saying that the number of people that are using these apps is anywhere up between 20 and 30% since the month before.
Wow. Well, that would make sense. If you can't go anywhere, it passes the time.
Well, okay, and so that kind of led me to the thought processes. So you have more people trying to use these apps. And because they like so being single, if you were able to go out, how does the single person nowadays find someone to start dating?
I have no idea, to be honest with you. I don't know at this point, because
I would assume it's off Tinder, right? Or these apps.
I don't know. I assume that's one avenue. I prefer to get to know the person, the woman I'm, doing whatever I'm doing with right now. Hoping, I don't know what it is. I've known for a while, so it just kind of organically happened. Aside from that, I mean, sometimes you just got to grow a pair and ask the person out. But sliding into their DMs, I'm sure is still happening. I'm sure there's essential workers that are now hanging out with more essential workers, because if you're around your work people all the time, they say you shouldn't be around anybody. You should just go home. But if you're around work people, you know where they've been and they know where you've been. And if you both just go to work at home, your risk is probably still pretty minimal.
Maybe. But you heard about that plant in South Dakota where 900 people got sick in that pork plant in South Dakota. And I would assume most of those people thought, oh, well, I work next to Bill, but I'm not going to get sick. They said that half of all the infections in South Dakota came from that one pork plant.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's not enough just to say, well, I should be okay working from home. Now, one of the things I thought was kind of interesting, or at least I'd love to get your thoughts on, is how much of the people uptick in the use of these apps is because there are less distractions going out and just socializing that way, or like you said, going to work and socializing with your friends. It's like, well, at least this way I can socialize with someone I don't know and at least talk to someone without the walls falling in on me. What are your thoughts?
I think you're probably pretty right on that. I mean, I think it's, you get down to it, it's human contact, and you can talk to your friends so much, you can talk to your family so much, but being able to meet somebody new and ask the questions and do the whole getting to know you thing is pretty fun, and it's pretty cool when you find someone you click with. And in unusual times like this, at least for the initial, until you meet face to face physically, you can probably click with someone pretty easy over text or whatnot.
What do you think? I mean, what do you think the likelihood is of actually this forcing people to actually get to know someone versus just a pure physical attraction?
Oh, I think it, in theory, should help everything in the long run. If you're really committed to having a relationship with that person, I think getting to know them, intellectually and emotionally before physically, I think only does good things for a relationship.
So if you were to identify like the best things about the online dating in the COVID world, what do you think what do you think would be something that would be a positive out of doing this?
Oh, I don't think you need to have a COVID world in this case being a caveat to it. I think the idea of online dating, it's almost basically it's long distance dating at this point. So if you
Which, let's be honest, before this point, that was frowned upon, right?
no,
We always talked about long-term or long-distance relationships never work.
no, and I don't think they're frowned upon. I think they just take more work than the average relationship because it comes down to the commitment of people. I mean, I did it for a few years. I know you and Noreen did it for a year or two, and it just takes more work. And doing it right now, I think you know that work is going to be there, even if it's just from across town, because you want to get to know somebody like that.
Yeah, I think when I was thinking about it, two things that kind of popped in my head. One, because there's like a virtual chaperone. In terms of, you can't just jump into bed with someone via these kind of things. It really forces you to hold limits and not just jump into something without knowing someone. Yeah. But the other thing I liked about it too is that, when you're let's say Skype, FaceTime, whatever app you're going to use to teleconference with them, most of the time you can't like people are going to see your house, right? People are going to see, where you live. In some cases, they're going to see, what you really are living like. Whereas when you go to a social restaurant, if you never go to my house, you don't know if I'm a slob or not. You don't know, anything about me. Whereas it seems like it'd be a little tougher to hide those aspects of your personal life that you normally can shield people from because you're not dating at the house.
Yeah, I don't think that's really a big deal because I think this is no different. Dates like that are no different than any other date. It's just over a video app. So if you are worried about what someone's going to think about your house, you're going to clean your house. You're at least going to pick up the area, unless one of the people on the call randomly says, "Well, give me a tour of your house," and then you start to shit yourself a little bit. But realistically, if
you got to clean every inch of it just so it's ready,
just in case, because you never know. But
your Zoom date,
yeah, exactly. It all comes down to just thinking ahead, I want to say. But I don't think I don't think it's any different than long distance dating over those apps, over the last 10, 15 years anyway.
Do you think that this has changed the criteria of which you would judge or assess a potential partner?
I should hope so.
Okay, so you do think that this idea of the self-isolating, it has changed what you are looking for or what you should ask of a potential mate? Like if someone's out there and they're trying to date, that this would adjust their what their criteria.
Well, I think it's been said quite a bit that the reason all this has happened is because whatever we were doing in the world wasn't working. So whatever our normal is, we can't go back to what our old normal was.
Oh, interesting.
So, hopefully people are taking their time in isolation, or the ones that are taking this seriously and looking at their life and figuring out, what were they doing and was it working? Was it not working? Maybe it's time to change things up and do something different.
What do you think are the biggest negatives about dating in a COVID world? I mean, things that you think will not last past COVID.
Oh, I don't know. I don't really think this is as big of a deal in the dating world as some people make it out to be.
Oh, okay.
I really just think this is a blip on the radar in the grand scheme of things. And anyone that can put together a relationship in this world right now and be able to maintain it and build off it and maybe make it last, good for them. They did something right. But I think right now, since our isolation really realistically is only 4 weeks, it should not be that hard to overcome those obstacles. If this were to last into like June or July, okay, now we got to start getting creative and think how this is going to work long term, because there's a lot of people out there not getting laid or they're lying about it, and that doesn't work in this world.
Well, yeah, obviously the continuation of of the population does require, intimacy of some
Well, yeah,
level.
and at a certain point, people are just going to say, "Screw it, I'm going to risk it. If I get it, I get it. I'm just going to wear a mask out in public. No big deal. I can't sit here and just at home hoping that I have no semblance. I don't get it. I need to get some kind of semblance of life back.
Yeah, no, I think I understand. Yeah, I look at it as if I was out in the real world and was single. I like human contact, so it'd be hard for me to do this, but I would find it quite an interesting, adventure to learn about someone. And it kind of like pen pals, where you just learn about them,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't mix in this idea of sex or physical attraction. It's basically, do I like you as a person?
Yeah.
And if I do, then fantastic, we're gonna go forward. If I don't, then we just stop. And how many times have you heard, though, I went on a date, it was great, we had physical connection, and then but I can't stand her.
Well, I think this
or can't stand
I think
him.
this brings back the art of flirting, and verbal flirting, and not not being able to do it face to face, but keeping it interesting and finding a way to keep that spark lit.
Yeah. What do you think about this idea or premise? There's some people that are not kind of socially awkward.
Uh-huh.
And so and other people are very social, like they can go on a date and it's not a big deal. Other people act awkward. Does this level the playing field, that everyone, no matter where you are, socially awkward level or not, wherever you are on that spectrum, that it kind of balances everybody out? Because the people that are more social in social settings are taken out of that, and the people that are more awkward in social settings are protected to put out their best foot forward.
Yeah, I think it kind of does a little bit, because it's making extroverts like myself, like you, or anyone else other that needs to be around people, likes being out in public, have to think outside the box. Introverts, I don't know how, if they're shy, they're going to be shy on a video call or whatnot, but maybe sometimes they can answer questions better over a text or over email. It just all depends on what platform you're trying to talk about.
Well, and the reason why I say that too, though, is because introverts, when they're socially dating and flirting on some of these apps, it's really easy to hide your insecurities in that. But when you're doing a Zoom, for example, you're still there. I mean, you might have that distance because you're not face to face with someone, but you're still trying to put your best foot forward. I could see that. I would think that it would balance it out, but maybe it wouldn't. Maybe you'd still be kind of socially shy, and it would still be difficult.
Well, I think the first thing to remember is, let's get one thing clear: nobody ever looks good on Zoom. Any of those apps, like if you are self-conscious about something, I guarantee, whether it be Zoom, FaceTime, or Skype, or Google Hangout, it will accentuate that flaw and make you think the entire world can see. It's all about your own self-conscious and how you see the world.
So, obviously, I don't like to do a lot of lists, but we talked a little bit about dating in the COVID world, or interacting with anyone in the COVID world. But what kind of things have you done with Zooms and other things, like for social activities with your friends and family?
We've had a couple happy hours. We hosted happy hour for Liquid Carnage a few weeks back. That was pretty fun.
Yeah, I had to work that night. That sucked.
Yeah, we did that. We've had a couple Friday happy hours. My staff meetings are over Zoom now in our office, but that's
they are.
Yeah, that's basically it, though. I mean, I don't really think it's it's helped us see people, which some nights for me has been really helpful, because I don't know if I can emphasize how hard this gets some nights. And I'm sure we're preaching to the choir on those people that are listening, that are either living by themselves or even living with somebody. Sometimes the fact that you can't go anywhere and you've lost that free choice amplifies whatever issue is playing in your head all the more.
Yeah. Yeah, I know that even with Noreen and I, it was tough. I mean, it was tough being long distance, and when I did get home, the hug was a little bit tighter and a little bit longer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it was definitely it affected us both. And we were talking every day. It wasn't like we weren't talking every day, but there is something to be said about, that social interaction that just doesn't get replaced with all the devices and technology that we
Oh
have
yeah,
available.
you could never replace physical touch. I mean, I think that does so much for your mood and the way you view things, and it should never be taken for granted again. And I was talking to our secretary in our office this week, and only 3 of us stayed in the office when the other half went home to self isolate, and we were just talking, just lamenting that there are so many things we're going to do differently when we get back to normal, just because you don't realize what what you really truly appreciated, and just little things like going out to the store or going to a bar or seeing your friends. I mean, once those liberties get taken away from you for the good of the world, supposedly, it makes you look at the world a little bit differently.
Well, and I would say on the other side of that coin, it has also made me appreciate and realize that, just because I'm far away from someone doesn't mean that means I don't have to make a better effort to do things where we video chat or talk on the phone or, connect. Yeah. I mean, how many friends do we have where we talk to them once a year or once every couple years? This is basically shed all those oh, well, we don't have time, or oh, I'm busy, or no, there are ways to do it, and it also opened my ideas that we need to do that more.
Yeah. Now right now there are no excuses. You have the time to talk to somebody. If you can binge watch a show on Netflix, you can talk to somebody for 10 minutes over FaceTime, over text, over chat. We've got nothing but time right now.
Well, and so, okay, so I'll finish the discussion with obviously a list. And I apologize to my executive producer, but I was trying to think what kind of things could people do to kind of spice, not just talk on the phone, but do like fun activities. Mm-hmm. And some of them were kind of cool. Like obviously if you watch a movie, like if you and I wanted to watch a movie together.
Oh yeah, Netflix has that option.
Yeah, we could watch the movie together, right, on the application. They were also talking about doing board games. Like I saw a grandfather and a grandson playing chess. They had the little Skype thing set up so they could play games. Yeah. Cooking together. You can make the same meal and cook and have dinner.
Yeah.
Wow, doesn't that sound fun?
Yeah, there's a lot of things. We tried Pictionary in one of our hangouts, and I got to be honest, it sounds fun in theory, but maybe you got to like Pictionary as it is. I lost interest pretty quick. So, but that's
well, you do have the squirrel.
I do have the squirrel focus. You're absolutely right, and you can only guess cock and balls so many times before people get irritated at you. So, it's just one of those things.
One of the ones that I thought was kind of funny is they called it take a virtual museum tour, where basically, how Zoom, you can share pictures on the app. And so they were saying, take pictures of like art or famous places and then having to have a little virtual museum tour. And I thought, wow, okay, people are really stretching.
Yeah, it's like now we're grasping for straws. I think the one thing about this is I have seen some amazing creativity on the internet about this. There was someone that recreated the Pirates of the Caribbean ride from Disneyland in their house. I don't know if you saw this, but it was amazing. They got their families together and they recreated the entire ride of Pirates of the Caribbean, including like the little boat you're on. They got a little wagon and push people through, and like you're going down the stairs like the waterfall. It was a trip. It was pretty cool.
Oh, some of the things that people are doing are really fascinating. I mean, they really are being creative, and I think that I would say for the most part, I don't think everyone is enjoying this time, but I think for the most part, we're making the best out of a tough situation, and people are reevaluating what family time means, and people are reevaluating what it means to be involved with our parents, grandparents, grandchildren. And maybe that is the biggest thing that leaves us the opportunity, not just on dating, but just socializing, that we've expanded the abilities to interact with our loved ones beyond what maybe we even thought was appropriate before
Yeah,
this
well, it's like
happened.
I said, hopefully when we come out of this thing, whatever our new normal is, we do things differently and appreciate the little things, because I think we got too wrapped up into our worlds previously, and we needed to take a step back because now we're forced to make the best of a bad situation. And I think we're doing okay with that. I mean, it's not ideal for all of us, but it is what it is. And eventually we will get to go outside and the sun will rise and we will get to go back to work and go see movies and see live sports again.
Now, obviously, it's not social dating, but let's talk about the executive producer. I know that he moved to Colorado now. How is he transitioning to his new
He
work,
hasn't started his new
home?
job yet. I've sent him a couple texts and been basically ignored. So I assume everything's copacetic.
Yeah, no, he mentioned that he was busy, obviously getting
Yeah.
established, but
Yeah, they're still in a
but
shelter in place up there, and he's pretty good about not having to leave the house unless he has to anyway. So I think he's fine. Yeah.
Okay,
So
all right,
I want to ask our
yeah.
listeners, how are you spending your isolation / quarantine time? Are you doing the family time? Are you kicking it alone like I am? Hit us up on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, all at Liquid Carnage, and tell us your quarantine stories. If you want to say hi to our EP Tom in his new location in Denver, maybe he'll do a virtual tour of his apartment, condo, whatever it is. All you have to do is ask. Hit him up on Twitter and Instagram, all at Liquid_EP.
Yeah, the I think about the executive producer all the time. I know that he's been a part of every single episode, so he's very important to our family and our community. So I wish him well and hope that we get to talk to him
Yeah, it'd
again
be
soon.
nice. In fact, it'd be fun to have him
Um,
on the show to just chronicle his experiences through this, through relocating, through starting anew, being stuck as a 40-year-old man living with his parents in the back room. All of these adventures he's gotten to endure over the last month. I think it'd be kind of fun to listen to.
Yeah, I will say this too. I'm really one thing that I've really appreciated through all this time is that the technology is available to keep us connected. I mean, I think about what would have happened if this happened 30 years
Oh
ago.
yeah,
Totally different reaction. And so I thank God every day that we have the technologies to be able to keep everyone connected, whether you're dating or just talking to your loved ones. So stay
that's
safe
true.
out
That's
there.
true. With that said, Jason, why don't you go ahead and take us home?
Hey, thanks for listening, everyone. We really appreciate you. We hope you're safe. We hope you're happy. That was Scott. I am Jason. And as always, if you never know quite what to say, just have yourself some liquid carnage.